Happy Monday, Flosstube. It is Monday, April 29th. End of the month. It's my son's birthday today, which I believe I've mentioned before. My name is Caroline. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for visiting with me today. Using one of my favorite Gilmore Girls mugs today. It says Luke's Coffee on the other side. If I'm careful here. I have a lot of stuff on the desk, so I'm going to be careful not to spill it. It's full. John and Sarah picked this up at Universal Studios. They did a studio tour and they picked this up in the gift shop for me. So, full of deliciousness. I am trying to cut down on my coffee a little bit, drink more water. It's going okay so far. So far, so good. So, I know it's better for me to drink lots of water. So, giving it the old college try. Okay, so I have a Because Monday giveaway for today. So for last week, the pattern that was up for grabs on the Facebook group, that's where you can find the Because Monday giveaways every week. This was a filigree pattern called Garden Colors. It's a series of houses changing through the seasons. It's really a sweet chart. And there were over 100, I can't remember the exact number. It was 107 or 108. I can't remember. I did the random number generator this morning. Comment number 83 was selected and the winner was Kathy Krause. Congratulations, Kathy. I have your address and I will get this in the mail for you. All of the previous Because Monday pattern giveaways were sent out last week, and I believe I had 6 of them piled up. So if you've been waiting for it, they are now all in the mail and should be making their way this week to their new homes. So hopefully you'll receive yours soon. Kathy, congratulations again, and I'll get that out to you soon. Today's draw is for a full kit. So this is a Reolist kit and it's a birth announcement kit, and it's really quite sweet. So as you can see, it's meant to be, it's blue. I also have a pink kit. You can, you'll see that, I'm sure, in the months ahead. So this is a blue kit. If you know you're having a girl and you're the lucky winner of this kit and you'd rather have the pink kit, I'm happy to send that one instead. Now, one thing that I like about this pattern, and Realist is these are Russian kits, but they do include the English alphabet. So you can easily put in your own information here, whatever you wish. What I really like about this pattern is that you can take any part of it and you can, customize it the way that you wish to do. So you can just do the bunting that's up here and make that, a long piece. You could just do the buggy. You could just do the words underneath the bunting. I love that teddy bear. He's really cute. Okay, so, and as you can see, it's a full kit. It's got all the threads. It's got fabric. I think there's a needle in here as well. And also there is the little bit of lace trim needed to decorate the buggy. So it is a 28 count white Zweigart Lugana. The threads are anchor and, oh, there is a needle and lace, one kind. So there you go. That's what's up for grabs for today, Because Monday. And again, you can find the entry for this kit on the Facebook group. Because it's Monday. Because it's Monday. Monday has rolled around once again. Okay, I am going to get right into the mailbag because I have a little boy who's home from school today. He was super excited to be let to stay home. I had a few people ask if I was going to record his reaction. I did not. Sometimes I don't want the kids to feel like their entire life is being played out on YouTube. So sometimes I just, I leave that up to them. If they wish to appear on the video, Sarah's now old enough, I feel, if she wants to peek her head in like she did a few weeks ago, then, that's, their decision, then that's different. Nicholas has never asked to be on the video, really. But If you want an idea of his reaction, my little avatar for my channel is him when he was about 2.5. And I really should dig up that whole picture and share it with you, because he doesn't really look like that anymore. He was 2.5. So I don't feel like I'm invading his privacy by sharing that picture. He doesn't look like that anymore. But the way he is, he's actually in the full photo, he's holding his belly, like having a gut laugh. And that's his little face. That was just like what his reaction looked like this morning when I told him he could stay home from school. He was so excited. And he has requested craft dinner for lunch, which the clock is ticking. It is just after 11 o'clock in the morning here in London, Ontario, Canada. And so he has, he's been asking when his lunch will appear. So I'm going to try and keep this. I always say this, I'm going to try and keep this, you know, brief, and it ends up being an hour long. We're going to give it a try today. Okay, so again, as I've been doing lately, I have photographs on my iPad of the questions and comments to get through from the mailbag. I'm going to start off with Nancy Hofmeister. Nancy, so nice to see you back in the comments again. Nancy is a wonderful stitcher and knitter, expat living down in Ecuador, and always has really interesting things to show and share about where she's living. So Nancy sounds like she's been away for a while, but she's back watching Flosstube, and she is chiming in on an issue that we discussed, not an issue, but an article of interest that we discussed a number of weeks ago about Aida versus Hardanger fabric. So if you can take your minds back a few weeks ago to that discussion, Nancy had a great comment here that I thought was an interesting thing to add to that bit of discussion. Maybe a little bit of a period on the discussion there at the end of this. I just found it interesting. So here you go. I'm going to read what she has said. The best way to determine one from the other is to examine the weave. It does not matter how it is labeled. Things get labeled incorrectly. How is it woven? Okay, so you may remember that Hardanger fabric looks like Aida. It's 2 strands, warp and weft, just like Aida. It's in the Aida family, okay? Whereas the Congress cloth, which was the one that I had mixed up for Hardanger fabric, is 1 thread woven, warp and weft. Okay, so now Nancy's telling us how to tell the difference between Aida and Hardanger. Okay, so you have to examine the weave. Hardanger is an even weave, and your floss can slip under the threads if you use it over one, just like other even weaves. It is woven this way so that the threads can be cut and pulled for the addition of the decorative work. Aida is woven so that the threads will not support each other if cut and pulled out. It is also woven in such a way that your floss will not slip under the threads so that it can be used over one as it usually is. You cannot do Hardanger on Aida cloth. You can cross stitch on Hardanger cloth. So I thought that was an interesting comment. So thank you, Nancy. Thanks for sending that in. All right. Next up, we've had the cat in a few more times lately. The neighbor's cat. Her name is Sasha. She's a very loving, friendly cat, and there have been a few pictures on Instagram lately because she has clearly made herself at home. She asks to be let in. I'm really trying hard not to feed her. She gets the odd little treat, little snack, but I try not to feed her more than a teeny tiny bit because, first of all, then she'd be being fed by 2 owners. Not that I'm saying I'm her owner or anything, but I have a tendency to overfeed cats in general. I've never had a thin cat. So if I were to overfeed someone else's cat, and I'd feel pretty bad. So anyways, I'm really trying hard. And my kids, my son is as bad as me, but my daughter is always reminding me, don't feed the cat, don't feed the cat, don't feed the cat. So fine, I won't feed the cat. But yes, she has clearly made herself at home here. So I like the comments that I'm getting from people about how clearly she has chosen her secondary home for naps and snacks. Joint custody. That's what LinkIsMyHomeBoy has stated, that we have joint custody of the cat. And a little shout out for 2 Flosstube channels. First of all, LinkIsMyHomeBoy left me a comment telling me she had a channel. I checked her out this morning and had a nice visit while I was going through these comments for the video today. So I will leave a link for her Flosstube channel in the drop down box below. The other channel that I wanted to give a shout out to today is one that I've been meaning to for weeks now. And her newest video just popped up in my feed this morning while I was watching LinkIsMyHomeBoy, and I thought, oh, right, must make sure I give a shout out today to Melissa Miller. And you can find her channel. I'll link it in the drop down box below. And I think she calls her channel the Daily Mel, but I think her channel name is Melissa Miller. Again, I will link to her video down below. So hi, Melissa. Melissa, I feel like I've known Melissa for years and years, because she has a blog that I have followed. I mean, before I started filming Flosstube videos, I've been reading blogs, stitching blogs online for years, and Melissa has had a blog for years and years. She's also she tries to make health her priority, so she will post about things that she's doing and working on. She's also a scrapbooker, a card maker, and she has some amazing videos on some really beautiful cards that she's made. So she started making Flosstube videos a few months ago now, and I wanted to welcome her to the Flosstube world officially. And Melissa, it's so nice to see you around here. And I will admit that when you left me my first comment on a video that you'd watched, I had a little fangirl moment, because I feel like I know you, even though you didn't know who the heck I was. To find out that you'd watched my video gave me a little thrill. So hi, Melissa. Really glad you're watching Flosstube videos and making your own. So cool. Okay, so those are the shout outs that I had today. If you have a Flosstube channel and you leave me a comment, please tell me about it. I would love to come and visit you as well, because you're here visiting me. So I should like to come and repay the visit. All right. Oh, I had an observation from Nan Russell. I thought this was a good point. We're always saying how there are no rules in cross stitch, and there aren't. There aren't any rules in cross stitch. But Nan makes an observation. So many people say that there are no rules in cross stitch, but I think there is one rule if you want to be happy with your finished piece. That is, the top leg of each cross has to go in the same direction. If they don't, the finished stitching will not look quite right. What fabric you stitch on, what needle and thread you use, which design you choose to stitch, and how you stitch are the areas in which no rules apply. Just my opinion. And I think that's a very good point, Nan. You're right. We should always make sure that the top leg of our X is always facing the same direction, so that top is always looking neat and tidy. So good point, Nan. Thank you. So it seems to be that I'm working my way backwards here. Loretta Henderson had a question about DMC variety floss. Is that variety or is that variegated? I'm not sure, because I've never used it. I have no opinion about it. So I'm going to ask Loretta's question here, and hopefully someone will have an answer for us. Okay. She says there's a new variety floss from DMC that comes in maybe 60 color variations. I wonder if anyone has tried that type of DMC and has an opinion they would share. I don't have a local needlework shop anymore, and Joann's doesn't carry nice floss and linen. Another question, DMC needles have inside their threading shaft points that catch the floss and pick at the floss. Anyone else have had this problem? And I have to say that no, I haven't had that problem with DMC needles. I actually quite like DMC needles. DMC and John James are the ones that I generally tend to use, because they have a sharper tip point on the end, and I tend to like those a bit more than a blunter needle. I've never found a problem with the inside. It's possible maybe you just got a bad pack. I don't know, that maybe had a flaw on the inside. I'm not sure. But again, anyone else have any issues or problems with DMC needles? Let me know. Okay, and let's see. Oh, last week we talked about that little gadget called the thread straightener. And I had a blog post that I read the end blurb about from Mary Corbat. And I asked Linda Given. Linda had purchased this, but she hadn't really left a review on using it. So I asked her in my video last week to tell me what she thought about that gadget. So I'm going to read you her response. I will try to answer your questions regarding the thread straighteners. The directions for use say to cut your thread to desired length and wrap each end of the thread several wraps around each foam roller. Then gently pull each winder in opposite directions. This process is supposed to straighten the thread. First, it is very time consuming. Second, they did not straighten the thread. Also, you have to add extra floss on each end for winding. That thread on the winders, rollers, becomes curled, thus unusable. These words can sum them up for me. Time consuming, wasteful, and doesn't work as advertised. However, they are pretty sitting in my notions basket. There you have it. So if you too were considering the thread straightener, maybe give it a pass. I'm not sure. I would love to hear from someone who has used the thread straightener gadget and it works well for them. If there's anybody out there, because I like to give, fair and equal opportunity. If you have it and you love it, let me know. Let me know how it works for you. All right. Awesome. The only other thing I think that we had come up in, there's a couple more, but the other big discussion that we had last week about specialty stitches and calling them specialty stitches and maybe calling them something else instead, because calling them specialty stitches maybe made them seem a little bit unattainable or difficult for people, considering trying them, that maybe that wasn't for them because maybe they were too difficult. So we had a couple of people weigh in on this with differing viewpoints on both sides of the fence. And so if you're curious about that discussion, I urge you to go back into the comments from last week, episode 69, because today is episode 70, which I can hardly believe, episode 70. It was actually very interesting hearing everybody's opinions on calling them specialty stitches. Some people were for it and other people wanted to maybe consider calling them just, embroidery stitches, which is what they are, right? So I just have a couple of comments to pull out from the mix of people who left me comments about this. Just a couple of random ones that I thought were interesting that I'll discuss today here. But again, go back in those comments if you're interested in that discussion, because there were a number of them and it was quite interesting. Okay, so Sylvia Perez Hardy, she says, regarding the discussion about specialty stitches, I agree that the term is used to distinguish any embroidery stitch that are not cross stitch or back stitch into a separate category. However, I prefer the term decorative stitches. The same distinction occurs in needlepoint, where the common stitch is basket weave or continental stitch. All other stitches are often categorized as specialty stitches. So Sylvia suggests the term decorative stitches, which I like as well. I think that's quite good. Okay, the other comment kind of on the other side of the fence as towards calling them specialty stitches was from our very own Deb from Country Stitchers. So Deb says, I wanted to weigh in on your discussion about specialty stitches. For me personally, I will always call them specialty stitches because to me, they are just that, special. It makes me feel good when I learn a new intricate stitch. Some can be quite challenging for me. So to master one is special. There you go. You see, it's just different opinions on what they are to you. So great conversation, you guys. Really, really good. And And thank you for everyone who left me a comment. It was a good discussion. Okay, so I think that was it for the stitching stuff. I had a question and comment from Meeser Meow Me. Did I do that? Did I get it right? Meeser Meow Me? Meeser Meow My? I'm not sure, but that's a pretty cool name. Okay, so I liked this one a lot. It says, she says, she or he? She or he. I'm going to make an assumption that it's a she. I apologize if you are a he. I know you have several floor frames and a lap frame, which led me to think about which you will take to your cottage for the summer. Then I thought about all the Flosstubers frantically kitting up their mania projects, which is nothing compared to packing up for this summer. Would you share your process of moving to the cottage? Many have talked about what they would take to a deserted island, but you do it every summer. Yeah, I do. And yes, it is a huge deal. It is a huge deal. Not only do I have to pack up my stash that I want to work on for the summer, I also have to pack up a small business. I have to pack up a small sewing business that requires a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. A lot of fabric, a lot of just a lot of stuff. Trust me. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal, and there are many lists involved. I generally start a few weeks ahead of time. I wish I were a more organized person than I am. I will tell you, a lot of what happens in the summer is that I make sure John knows where stuff is. I make sure he knows where stuff is generally, and then I also make sure that I have a good working knowledge of, and that may involve photographs of where things are in my house, so that when I'm up north and I realize that I need something, I can usually direct John to find it, and then he brings it up with him. He comes up, he comes up regularly, but he still works all summer here in London, so he's here all the time. Plus my daughter is here all the time as well. So between the two of them, when it comes to cross-stitching supplies, generally Sarah is a little bit better at finding things than John is. Now, to give John full props, he once found a pair of size 7 knitting needles, circular size 7 knitting needles. He pulled that one out. I'm not quite sure still to this day how he did it, but I directed him. He found them, and he managed to tell the difference between the size 7 and the size 8. And he must have had to use a magnifier, you know, to look at the numbers, because his eyes aren't that good anymore. But anyways, I thought that was quite funny. So yeah, once I get closer to that time, then I'll start to share a little bit more about the process, if you care, if you're interested. We have a trailer. You've probably seen it in a few of the videos that I sometimes take outside. We park it outside. I mean, not like a big, huge traveling trailer. It's like a towing trailer. Open, like it's an open trailer. We use it to dump leaves in to take to the recycling place. We carry mulch in it, that kind of stuff, that kind of trailer. And in the summer, we use that trailer, we hitch it onto the back of the truck, and we basically pull all my stuff in the back of that trailer. Yeah, it's a big deal, because yeah, it is on an island. There is no grocery store next door. So if you want it, you have to pack it and you have to take it with you. So that includes groceries, you know, any kind of food, any kind of toiletries, anything. Now, my husband is probably going up this coming weekend to open up with my father-in-law. So they're going up this weekend. My father-in-law will open his place, and John will help him open his cottage, and then John will open our cottage as well. And then from now on, once we can access it by boat, then, because the ice is just gone, so they're going to keep checking the weather to make sure it's safe, because if the wind changes, it can blow some ice back in. So they have to be really careful. Clearly, this is the most dangerous time of the year to be on the water in this part of the world. It is just the most dangerous time, because the water is at its coldest, and if anything goes wrong, if you got caught in bad weather and got tossed out of the boat, your chances of survival are slim to none, because the water is it's just too cold. So that's why the children don't go. We don't take unnecessary risks. It's already a risk enough for John and his dad to be going, but they know how to be careful. They know things to look for and watch for, and how to do things safely. So then once things start warming up, we start going a little more regularly, and we have a good idea then of what we left up there last year, what needs to go back. Now, because everything freezes over winter, we can't leave a lot of stuff there. So yeah, we have to, it's an ordeal to say the least, but it's one that we look forward to every year. It's not annoying in the least. I mean, sometimes when you're going through Costco and you're spending like this amount of money, because I try to shop for the whole summer, and I try to pack the pantry and the fridge freezers at home so that my husband, because he does the shopping every week or every 2 weeks. When he can't come up, then I will boat into town to get groceries. But it's a 3-hour tour. It's a 3-hour trip for me to go to town and get groceries from door to the cottage, back to the door to the cottage with my groceries in hand. So John will try to always bring up the groceries with him when he comes. And it's a lot easier for him if I can just say, this is here, this is here, this is here. He'll shop from home first, and then he'll pick up the fresh produce and dairy on his way up, in case you were interested. You know, maybe I lost some of you 5 minutes ago. However, it's a big part of our lives, and the videos from the cottage in the summer generally tend to focus on this kind of thing, how we manage up there. We are an off-the-grid home. During the summer, we have solar power, propane, and a gasoline generator. We try to use the generator as little as possible. With my business, I have to run the generator to iron because using the iron on our solar panels would be really, it would kill our batteries really fast, because it drains them really, really fast because the power draw is so high. So I do have to run the generator to iron my fabrics and things like that. So generally, if you purchase a bag from me in the summer, generally it won't be, I can't iron it as well as I can when I am making the bags at home. So not that you're getting a product of any inferior quality, it's just that you'll have a special story to tell about why maybe that wrinkle didn't come out as much. But you know, I send the bags folded in half in a flexible envelope, so I don't know how I think they arrive okay, but they're probably not as pristine as when I folded and wrapped them for you. Anyways, I'll talk more about Evertote packaging in a minute. Okay, so great. Thank you for asking me that question. That was fun. All right, we are at the end of our mailbag, and that means that we're going to end with that little section, the question from Kyle, who has his very own little segment at the end of our mailbag section here. Okay, so Kyle asks, since our hobby is meant to be for enjoyment, what advice would you give to someone that may be losing their stitchy bug? Would you encourage them to try a new start or work on a different project? Take a break from cross-stitching for a while, or would you suggest something different? I personally feel that when I start losing my stitchy bug, that some time away from the project I'm working on, in any regard, does wonders. And yeah, I agree with that. There are always going to be times when whatever you're working on doesn't float your boat, whether it's a color that just isn't grabbing you at that moment, or you're just bored of it, or things are going on in your life, like other things are happening in your life that are causing you to be busier than you normally would, and maybe stitching has lost that spark for you, or me. Let's use me as an example. Now, I'm a multi-crafter, so when stitching doesn't hold my attention, I tend to knit. And when I'm not knitting on something that is really grabbing me, then I might go and sew something different that isn't a bag. I might go and, do a little bit of piecework towards, I have a couple of quilts that are long-term projects. One in particular is it's an English paper pieced queen size quilt. Yes, indeedy. I haven't worked on that in a couple of years. It's massive. It's all entirely hand pieced, and they are all 3-inch or 2.5, I can't remember, hexagons, all individually hand stitched. And we're talking about a queen size quilt. I think I'm just over, I'm about 3/4 finished it, the top. I plan on having it professionally quilted because I don't want to, I can't fathom doing it myself. It's big. It's big. And I'm considering how to deal with the edges because of course they're hexagons. So I will probably cut out half hexagons and fill in the holes. Not the holes, but you know, the shape, fill in the shape. But anyways, so yeah, I work on something different. That's how I deal with it. But I think it's a very personal question for your reasons for why your desire to stitch are going to be different, and what works for you might not work for me. I would probably be inclined to start something new. But lots of people, that makes them anxious to have more than one whip on the go. I don't know what that feels like, but I know there are people out there that's what they prefer, and that doesn't make it wrong or bad, but starting something new wouldn't be the way for them, wouldn't be the way forward. Maybe, you know, choosing a different section of the design to work on. I know Brian Blitzstitch, he was working on, it was that Teresa Wensler piece, that enormous, gorgeous, I mean, it's stunning. And he was struggling with the top band of work. And he had some suggestions. People had written in the comments and suggested that he go down to the letters and maybe work on, I believe it was, I'm going back a little bit here. This was a video from a few weeks ago at least now. But going down and working on something different would reinvigorate his motivation to go back and fill in that, the pictorial work at the top. And he said it worked. He said it worked for him. And I've never wanted to stitch a Teresa Wensler particularly until I saw Brian's work. And there was another pattern that he showed, and I didn't write it down. And I know it's a Wensler, and I know I'll have to go in and find it again because it was so beautiful. It was, I'm sure it had a peacock in it. It was the peacock? Yeah, it was the one with the peacock. Thanks, Brian. Anyways, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. If you're not feeling your stitching, maybe just spend some time watching Flosstube, watching other people stitch and make progress on their whips. Sometimes can just make you feel that little bit of, oh yeah, maybe I should just do a little bit more. And one thread, just put one thread in and maybe I'll feel a little better. And if not, just take a break. Just take a break. It's just stitching. You'll come back to it again. Thanks, Kyle. Great question. Okay, that's it for the mailbag. That's it. I talked about everything. I think I talked too much. Remember I said I was going to keep this brief today? Yep, not happening again. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break here, and I'm going to put an ad in right here. Thank you for all the positive feedback about the ads that I put in. I'm glad that you're happy that I announced them. The revenue that I make from YouTube helps me pay for all of the postage for all of the giveaways that I do. So I really appreciate the fact that you just let those ads play. Okay, are you ready for my whips? I have two. I worked on Friday, my Friday video. I was working on the Little House Needleworks ABC sampler houses, the third one, FGH. And did I finish the border? Well, I'm going to put in a small little clip here of my stitching that I accomplished since Friday. So I did. As you can see, I finished the border. I did the F, and I did I started building a fence. And that was it. That was all the time that I had for that, because I worked really hard on my secret stitch this weekend. I am not going to share that with you yet. Not quite ready to share it yet, but I did get quite a bit of progress done on it. I was very pleased with the progress I made on that. So soon I will share it with you. The other thing that I can share with you is my Glendon Place, the tiramisu. You've all seen it many times, and I still have this on my lap frame. This is a Kay's Creation lap frame, and here we go. Look, I rounded the corner. I did a lot. Okay, so I've completely finished this flower basket here. I brought my circle down here. I finished this motif down here. I brought the edge circle all the way down here, and this triangle motif completely finished. So, and that was all from Friday night. So all that stitching was just this weekend. So I think that that was on top of working on my secret stitch and a few stitches on my Little House Needleworks piece. I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm just going to bring it up close so that you can see the colors. That's pretty true color there, actually. And I know I'm not showing you the whole design. I'm going to save that. I am not going to show you the whole design now until the stitching is done. Maybe. We'll see. Might change my mind. We'll see. But you can see it's really starting to take shape down in the bottom there. I love it. Okay, so this is a 28 count even weave, 28 count Lugana, I think. Picture This Plus in the sand colorway, and I am using all of the called for Dinky Dye threads. So there. Ta-da. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I purchased something this week. I know that people say that I have enabled them to purchase many things, but I would like to tell you that that works both ways. Someone is stitching, and I'm very sorry if you watch my videos. I'm sorry I can't remember your name because I was so agog at your stitching that I was just so focused on the piece and the stitching. I really need to go back in and find out who is stitching this and who enabled me to buy this. And I know for a fact that I was not the only one who ran directly to Etsy to purchase this pattern. So this is a Ship's Manor design. It is called Gossamer Threads 2. And it is a beautiful geometric design. One of my favorites. It's just my favorite things to stitch. And as you can see, I love the colors as charted. And I believe the person stitching this on the Facebook group is also doing it as charted. The purple, the teal, and that kind of little pop of mustard in there. And we all know that I have enough 310 to sink a ship. So I fully intend to use my 310. So I purchased this pattern directly from Ship's Manor's Etsy shop. It was a PDF direct download, easy, and I printed it out on my color printer. So I have no idea when I'll start it, but I just fell in love with it. And also I'm just now, this is actually, I printed this out right before I started filming this, and I really like how this is charted. This is, it's reminds me a lot of Northern Expressions Needleworks. Are they related? Those two, Ship's Manor and Northern Expressions Needlework? I should know that. I should know that. Please, somebody let me in. But the charting of this reminds me of Northern Expressions Needleworks charts, which I love. I find them so clear, so easy to read, And this is just like that. Very, very clear, very easy to see. I'm excited to start this now. I don't know. I'm sure I could find a suitable piece of fabric somewhere downstairs. So yeah, it's April 29th. Stitch Mania is right around the corner. May 1st is just around the corner. I just put out Sunday High Tea video yesterday and the attached giveaway with that. And I talked briefly yesterday about my plans for May, which are that I have no plans. My plans are wide open. And I think, you know, getting back to the idea of Kyle's question, you know, finding your motivation, finding that spark and keeping that joy alive. I think for me, getting away from having a strict, these are the only 3 projects you can work on all month, which has been good for me. I require a bit of structure at times, but my personality sometimes rebels against structure and rules and too many, you have to do this or else. And I talked briefly on Friday about my personality and how being accountable is really good for me, because it actually, when I feel accountable to someone else, I tend to do things that I know I should do. So that's why, you know, choosing just 3 things and being accountable for those 3 things to show them to you. And I know very well that if I don't do that, then I feel like I have to explain myself. And that's good. I've actually seen some decent progress on the whips that I've been working on. So being able to switch that up and just say, for the month of May, you can work on whatever you want. If you want to start something new, you can start something new. It's okay. The only thing that I'm sticking to is that it has to be in my stash. It has to come from what I already own. Fabric, threads, patterns, anything like that. If I have to buy a skein of DMC, okay, that I can live with that. I live across the street from a Michael's. It's not hard. So if I need a skein of DMC in order to work on something or start something, then I will go and purchase that. But other than that, it's going to be entirely from my stash. I am going to revel in my stash. I'm going to have a huge party in my stash for the whole month of May. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. I do have a new start planned, but I don't know if it's going to be May 1st. I know exactly which one it's going to be. And the fabric and all of the DMC flosses have been sitting tucked in the bag, the project bag. You know how the project bags have these plastic? Well, in the fabric and all of the DMCs have been sitting inside that plastic bag for a very long time. And it's time for me to start it. I will tell you 2 things. It's a landmark design. I've never shown it here on this channel. There are 2 pieces. You know how landmark charts usually have companion pieces. There were 2 charts in this series. I have already stitched the first chart, so I will share that with you next Monday. It's fully finished. I gave it to my daughter, so it's framed, and I love it. So it's time for me to start the second one, because I have it and I love it. So you know what? It's May. Let's go crazy. I'm going to party in my stash all month long, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. Okay. I think that's it. As far as shop update for Evertote, there won't be a shop update this week. I have, my hand has been giving me a little bit of trouble, and I think I might have hyperextended it, cutting some bat last week. So I'm going to keep my sewing to a minimum this week. There will be a big shop update next week. So I'll have more information about that next Monday. That's it for me today, guys. Happy Monday, happy stitching, and happy mania, happy Stitch Mania if you are participating. In a few days ahead, it's going to be an exciting month. I can't wait to see the videos that are going to come out this month. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So happy stitching, and I will see you on Friday. Take care.